Legends and Super Legends. It's cold today here. Our weather pattern has gone unusually cold again. We're at like 0.5 C, and we're gonna get, by the time the ride's over, it'll be like 6 C. So the day itself would not even get near 10 C, I think. So it's just cold, and Frankie's not well, so he's gonna stay in. He said if anything, he'll just do the indoor trainer. I believe Paul will be there. It's almost 7:30, and so I'm just gonna roll slowly towards the start and see who's there. If nobody's there, I'll just head out. I'm gonna take the camera, get you guys some clips. If it's just Paul and I, we'll come up with something interesting. But I'm feeling better. My ears stopped draining. I just have the cotton in there, a piece of cotton to keep the wind out. But it's cold, so I'm wearing 3 layers. I've got my Santini. I got this long sleeve merino wool from Rafa because it's very breathable. And one thing I wanted to share with you, if you're putting on a long sleeve base layer, the jersey or whatever, or the jacket has a tendency to pull on the arm when you're putting your hand in. So what I do is I pull the mid layer. I'll come real close so you can see it. And I'll hold the mid layer. That's the mid layer here, the merino wool. I'll hold that between my thumb and my index finger as I put this on. And so you can put your hand through it and it won't get drawn up. And it's kind of a pain to try to fish it out. So once it's in there, I release it and then it just settles. So that's a nice little trick if you're having that kind of trouble. But this is what I'm wearing, and I'm just gonna wear my indoor shoe covers. We'll go ahead and get ready and get out there. I'm thinking about wearing this. I think this will probably be best because it is so cold right now that I want to wear let's see here. I'm wearing this the Rafa cap. I like that because I can cover my ears. And the problem is I don't want to wear too much stuff because then right here it gets really hot. This one is really heavy wool. And so I think I may leave that and just take the orange for the contrast too, because this one's too heavy. Because if I don't do that, I will probably overheat. So I'm going to leave this one in here, and I'm going to put on this orange neck warmer because I can always pull this over my face. This is a much lighter wool, and so I can always pull this up if I need to. That's what I like about the design. I can do that if I need to. But I'm going to just start with it right here on my chin and zip this up. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready. Legends. I'm running behind. It's just very cold today. I had to put on more stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and head out. I think only Paul will be there. If nobody's there, I'm heading out. Give you guys some shots. But it's cold. Turn on my computer here. Let's see. So we're below freezing right now. There we go. Not a creature is stirring this morning. So right now I feel just a little cool, which means I'm dressed right. I'll cover my neck area here. Trying to get this computer synced with GPS. Hasn't synced yet. It's cold. You can see those guys about to do some work on that driveway. They're cold. So you know it's cold. Those boys are used to working outside and they're cold. I've got hot chocolate. I got these special bottles. Didn't get a chance to talk about it in the prologue, but they're made by King Cage. Recommended them because they fit these bottle cages really well. They're insulated aluminum bottles. You can see. And I've got hot chocolate in one, and my electrolyte drink in the other. I think I should be good. So. I know I'm dressed right because I feel great right now. I don't feel cold at all. My body's a little cool. My extremities are good. I've got my gloves insulated. I don't believe these people pay these guys to cut grass. I haven't touched my lawn in more than 2 months. Nothing's growing. There's nothing to cut. Once it warms up a little bit, I'm gonna mulch. That's about it. Early in the morning, making all this noise early this morning. Just noise. There's Paul down there. Gosh. He's just like going to war. It's butt cold, man. Shit. Here, hold this, man. Hold this for a bit.
Okay.
I was just doing the intro. Everything just took longer to do today.
Yeah.
It's cold. I got my Santini, and I put on my merino wool long sleeve.
Okay.
And then this guy. So my torso's good.
All right.
Got 2 gloves on, my merino wool liners and these guys.
Okay. So you're covered.
Oh yeah, I'm covered up. I'm good.
Yeah.
I want to adjust this.
Yeah.
So I told the guys, I said, we're just gonna roll. I said, I've been off the bike since last Saturday.
Yeah.
Last night, my ear finally stopped draining.
Okay.
So I just have to cut in there. Protection, but
Okay.
I didn't want to bring that heavy wool because we're going to get to about 5C, 5 or 6C when we're done.
When we're done,
And it will just be too hot. It's perfect when it stays very cold. It's a heavy wool.
Yeah.
So this one was perfect. So
Yeah, I noticed it was
I'm ready.
pretty cold.
Ready to ride.
Yep.
Finally decided to give you guys some clips. It's cold out here. It's just cold.
Man, it is cold.
It's cold, so
Yep.
we're almost at Ridge Lake Shores. I'll wind is over the wall. That's what I've always seen, man.
Not only is it cold,
Yeah.
but you can hear the wind. It actually feels colder than 3C. We didn't see a whole lot of cyclists out when we were riding on this day. We ended up seeing a runner here. I'm telling Paul to get a lay of the land. A lot of the trees have dropped their leaves. But what we decided to do today was do a lesson in climbing. Once we get into Ridley Shores. So Paul tells me to watch out for this truck. I saw him, so I moved out, and he saw me. But I moved out into the lane more. Give some room. You can see a runner on the left there, across the road. And then we'll come across another runner. All the runners are dressed properly.
Wind is blowing.
You can hear the wind. Which it says 3C there. It probably feels like 1C. Because we're going into the wind. Once we get into Ridgely Shores, I'm going to walk you guys through some climbing drills. And just note some things to be aware of when you're climbing or going into the wind or just basically going hard. There's a runner on the right. I wave at her. So there weren't a whole lot of people out today. Beautiful sunny day, but it's cold. I was telling Paul that runner was dressed properly. Once we get into Ridge Lake Shores, I'm gonna focus on just walking you guys through some seated climbing techniques, things to pay attention to. This takes us to the main highway that's going to get us to Ridge Lake Shores. So right here, I pick up the camera from Paul. So I'm filming. We're on the highway here. Ridge Lake Shores is up the hill there.
Got the all down, but not the road.
They put the oil down on the side, so they're going to be paving soon. Paul thought the road was in at this point. I told him it's just the oil. But the way the weather is, they probably have to wait till it warms up a little bit. Maybe, I'm not sure how the temperatures impact what they're doing. Between the rains and the cold, we've had our share. So at the top of this climb here, we turn right into Ridge Lake Shores.
They finally smoothed this one out. It was real bumpy the last time.
Yeah, last time we
Like a
came
curve.
through where I just went over there, it was like a curve. So they finally added some dirt and smoothed it out a little bit.
Yeah, it's brutally cold today.
So we turn east to enter Ridge Lake Shores, and it kind of lessens the impact of the wind a bit.
Got plenty of battery power.
Because the wind's coming from north,
Yeah.
for the most part, on our left. we're enjoying the reprieve from the wind here because we've been fighting the wind for a little over 2 hours.
Saying maybe 3 cycles. 3 or 4 maybe. In over 2 hours.
And the further north we go, the colder it got. You can see it says 2C now. It's actually colder out as we go further away from town. We had the roads all to ourselves. Not only was there not a whole lot of people out, the traffic was extremely light, even on the main highways. It wasn't as busy as it usually is. So we definitely enjoyed it. So I give Paul the camera, and what I'm gonna demonstrate here, as where that car is coming from, there's an intersection behind that car. There's a stop sign coming up, probably about 150 yards down. And as soon as we turn, the climb begins. It's a long climb, and it progressively increases in grade. So the plan is to show you guys how you just have to relax certain times. So I'm not using a heavy gear on the climb. Right here, I'm turn left, and I gear down already, and I'm going to climb with a respectable cadence. I want you guys to pay attention because Paul comes alongside me and he films from the side as well. You see my cadence right now is 80. I'm on a small chain ring and probably in a 19 or 21, something like that in the back. So the key is to relax your upper body. You can see I'm on the tops. Open up my diaphragm so I can breathe. That's the key. You do this on very long climbs. Get a rhythm going and just relax your body. Same thing if you're going into the wind. Because aerodynamics doesn't matter. This is the position you want to climb in when you're climbing for long periods like 15, 20, 30 minutes or more. Right here it got steeper, so my cadence went down a little bit, but I've tried to keep it around 80 or higher. Right here, this climb, if you look at the grade, it says 3. I think it gets, that's 4 or 5%. It gets like 6 point something percent at the steepest pitch. I want you to focus more on my form than anything. You don't need to kill yourself, just ride the climb. And as the climb finishes, you want to shift up a cog or two to finish the climb. Don't feel like you have to rest right away. Don't stop your pedaling right away.
Yep.
So we're going into the headwind here. We're headed north. And I told him, I said it felt like I was still climbing even after we crested the climb because of the wind. Just maintain a similar rhythm. You can hear that wind. It made it feel like we're still climbing. It's a slight grade. It's not quite 1%, but it's a grade. It's a false flat. You can see it visually. And it curves to the right a little bit. So we go through this intersection here. We're still climbing, pretty much.
Yep.
That's what I told Paul, is what he's responding to there. Listen to that wind. This climb was into the wind, so I did not fight what the conditions were giving me. I tried to stay relaxed the whole time while I was climbing. Because I did not want to stray too far out of zone 2. So after finishing that climb, we got a couple more climbs left, and so we did something different on climb 2 that's coming up, which you will see shortly. I stayed seated, but I ramped up the cadence a little more, just for variety. So you can decide if you want to sit. It's a lot more efficient to sit and climb, especially on very long climbs, but don't feel like you have to do that the whole time. If there are steep parts of the climb, feel free to stand, change the position, the way you're using your muscles, but you sit back for the extensive part of the climb. Because if you stand, you're not as efficient as when you're seated. Also, you will have to use a higher gear because you cannot maintain the same cadence you do when you're seated efficiently. That's the biggest difference.
Why is this guy stopping like this? What is he doing?
Yeah, this guy was backing up here, so we just stayed on the right. He stopped. He was backing up, and I guess when he saw us, he stopped. And so we just passed him on the right. I think he was backing up to see something he may have missed. Could have been house shopping or something. We weren't sure what he was doing. So when Paul catches up, I mentioned that to him. Yeah, we're talking about just all the new patrons of the channel. We got a bunch of Lion Kings, Ronald and Reginald, and the 2 latest super legends are supporting the channel. I was just telling him about it. So shout out to Reginald and Ronald. We appreciate your support. Reginald is from the Pelican State, our neighboring state. And Ronald's in Afghanistan, he's in the military. We appreciate both of you guys supporting us. So right here we begin kind of a grade. You can see it says 2%. It's like the prelude to the actual climb. And I sit here just to kind of demonstrate again. That's one way to climb, and since it was a cold day, I didn't really feel like standing too much. I thought I would just spend more time seated because I had not shown that in a lot of the rides. Most of the prior rides I'd done, I was out of the saddle, low cadence, power in the gear. So wanted to do something different today. So it's the same thing. You can see my cadence picks up. I'm in a low gear and I'm just spinning it as opposed to shifting, and I will let the grade slow my legs down. This is a pretty good length of a climb. can see once again I'm on the tops. Got my chest open. And you can see this time my cadence is in the upper 80s. And this kind of climbing, you want to build up to it. If you're not comfortable climbing at, say, 88, 95, work up to it. Because it taxes your aerobic system more. See, my heart rate already is at 160. But right there, I'm at the bottom of zone 4. Just entered zone 4. It's a good, kind of what I call a steady climb. It's like a sweet spot climbing. I look for traffic. All is clear. You can see my cadence stayed mid to upper 80s. Now it's like 90. I'm just focusing on keeping the cadence up, stressing my aerobic system. You see my heart rate at 168. That's a good, quick way to hit. I'm in the middle of zone 4 for me. So you just have to make sure you're relaxed and just pedal smoothly to get through these climbs. If you're going to sit, keep your gears reasonable and stay on top of the gear. That's what it takes. Once I finish the climb, I always shift up at least one cog harder. I say at least because if the descent is drastic, you want to shift up more.
Yeah.
So the miles from the Festive 500 really helped me lean out even more. And now I'm going to build on that into early February by just stepping things up a notch. So it's the perfect kind of workout for a cold day because all I'm focusing on keeping my legs spinning around, which will help keep my body warm anyway. It's a slight descent here. So we wrap up the loop here shortly, and then we go on one of our favorite roads, which it turns out we discovered something new about it. It ends up having a very decent climb. We had been focusing on the visible part of the climb that we could see, which we call the bump. But turns out our road, Honia Egypt road, has a long climb, and we ended up enjoying it today. You'll see. So we turn right here. This is a short climb, but it's steep. That's the inch. This is the climb we started this neighborhood with. But this is the last third of it. And you can see I just kept my cadence up. In fact, I downshifted even more because I knew it was steeper. It's like 6.5%. Doesn't register up there, but that's what it said on my head unit. You see now I crept up to 4. We're going into the wind, so that makes it even more of a challenge. So shortly after here, I tell Paul that I downshifted and increased my cadence.
Yeah.
I was letting him know that I downshifted to get even more snap as we came around that corner. Now keeping it in the gear that was reasonable. If you're riding with other folks and you come to a steep pitch, by keeping it in a smaller gear, you can respond to changes in speed a lot quicker. So whenever possible, err on the side if you're not sure and you're on the fence, shift to a lower gear. Now don't shift to the point where it's so low that you're spinning it out. You end up being like a hamster on the bike. You want to shift down to a reasonable gear, but when there's a doubt, go down one cog smaller than you think you need, because it's always easier to shift up. Because if the gear's too big and your legs tighten up on the hill, it's hard to recover. So it's better to have a smaller gear where your legs won't tighten up, and then you can shift up once you begin to ride the climb.
Go ahead and cut it, buddy.
All right.
So after here, we leave Ridge Lake Shores. We head westbound towards Honia Egypt Road.
Here you go, buddy.
So I give the camera to Paul here.
So yeah, by the way, this love this hill.
Honia Egypt Road is right up there. You can see the stop sign. The wind's coming from the right, so we're gonna have the wind behind us, which would be nice for a change because we've been fighting it for almost 3 hours.
Right.
There's a car coming, but it's far enough away, so I told Paul about it. Turn is the Honia Egypt Road, one of our favorite roads. The cool thing about this road is, besides the undulations, we found out at the end, other than the big bump you always see with us here, it continued to be a grade even after we got over the more visible climb. And it was just fun for us to discover that we got such a nice long climb on such an interesting road, because right here the road is undulating to where you can see our speeds are going up, and I'm in zone 2, so you can enjoy the road, then hit a climb, and we hit several climbs. I'll walk you through it here. So this road has a lot of undulations to the point where you're not just climbing, you get to work on leg speed and everything. It's just a beautiful road, and it's only about 50 kilometers from where we live. So the plan on this road was I was going to pull for a while, Paul's going to pull for a while, and then I'll finish the climb at the end. As we start to roll on this road, as usual, we start out, our speed picks up because it's slightly downhill for a little bit. It says -0, -1. But then we got the wind behind us. It gives us a chance to loosen our legs. The road's a little bumpy, so I check for traffic and I move out. There's a little more room. They've got those little reflectors on near the white line. You don't want to ride over those, it's just uncomfortable. Might as well be little rocks. So we continue, and then shortly after that we come across a nice little climb. I think it's around here. I had not really noticed it before. Just first few times we've come here, it's just been like a grade. And this time around, for some reason today, I end up telling Paul, this is a nice climb. We're already in the climb. You can see the road going up, and it says 1%. It gets probably around 3%, between 3 and 4. This is a climb. We're climbing. This says 2%. Yeah, now it says 3. On the head unit, I think it was between 3 and 4. It's a nice climb, and it's a good length. So that was the first thing, and I told Paul, good, nice climb. I don't know when I said it, somewhere here. You probably won't hear it. I don't think the camera picked it up. And the road is not particularly busy. You get past for about a few cars, but nothing like we have on Fish Creek. I think the last time we came here, I actually ended up counting 18 cars. This is like 10 or 11 kilometers. It's a good length of road. So it says 0, but we're still climbing. There it goes to 1. So it's undulating. just staying to the right to make it easier for the few cars that come by to pass. So when it's very smooth there, I stay close. If it's bumpy, I use the road. But before I change my position, I look back. And then Paul's behind me making his own judgment, because a lot of times he won't follow me directly behind. You can tell from the camera angle, he's a little to my left. You can see I'm just keeping my cadence decent. I check the cars. I think this is where I asked Paul to come up and take a pull. Yeah. So he hands me the camera and he rolls to the front. The wind is coming from the left and behind, so we got a cross tailwind. But the wind from the left is somewhat stiff. I'm not really drafting that perfectly for a couple of reasons, because on the right we got those little reflectors that those guys are using next to the white line on this road. It's not consistently everywhere, but it's enough to where you got to kind of be aware of it. And then a lot of the imperfections in the pavement on this road appear to be close to the white line. So when you're following somebody, it's better to have enough visibility. They're those reflectors I'm talking about. You don't want to roll over those. They're just uncomfortable. So I'm staying to the left, even though I'm catching a little more wind. After a little while, I shift up, try to slow my cadence down a bit. You can see my cadence going down 80s and I coast. So right here, I got in the sweet spot right there. Just trying to get different angles on the camera. And on a road like this that's up and down, do not hesitate to shift down if you need to. There's no reason why you need to strain and struggle through it. To be on top of whatever gear you're in. You see how smooth Paul is riding. That's because he's in the right gear and he's just staying within himself. So right here, there's a car coming out this driveway. We spotted it before he even got to that point. So he made sure he got the driver's attention, because a lot of them say they don't see us. We make sure they do. I think somewhere here I noticed that the camera angle was a little low. I had moved it down to kind of pick up Paul's gearing and just his feet in the pedal. So it was a nice change, but then it didn't settle back when I moved it up. So I think shortly after here I ended up adjusting it. Yeah, I think right here. Up, yep, moved it up a little bit. Most of the drivers passing people on this road in particular pass really wide. This road is favored by a lot of cyclists because it's one of the better roads out here for working out without stopping. High exercise potential. I think this is where Paul gets through pulling and I go to the front and he takes the camera. Yeah. And because of the high exercise potential of a road like this is when you come on this road, you want to be in the mood for riding. This is not the road where you ride side by side and chat. It's just not cool. It's too narrow of a road, and when you come on this road, you need to ride. Whatever your pace may be, just ride. Because if the drivers see that you're serious, it's not an issue. But I've seen some cyclists on busy roads like these. I mean, this is not super busy, but narrow roads, chatting side by side. Do that in the neighborhood roads and the quieter roads, the off-beaten path. So I'm pointing out the obstacles for Paul, and I move over to the middle of the road when they pop up. So the reason I do that is even if the rider following you is not paying attention and they're just following your wheel, they will follow where your wheel rides. So don't ride in the obstacle, because that just doesn't make sense for you or them. And that way they get two ways of avoiding it. If they're just transfixed on your wheel, they will follow you where you're going. Throughout this road, it's up and down. You can see even right here it may not register, but that's a drag right there. It's a little bumpy, so I'm letting Paul know, and I move out. I look back for cars, and then I move out to take the road. I'm trying to get him to use the smoothest portions, especially with that camera going over bumps. It rattles and it makes noises, even though the gimbal's there. You see up there where there's a slight curve, and that road goes up a little bit. So we're up or down on this road. And right now it says -1, -2. It will soon go to 0 because it's just up and down. Even though we've been passed by a number of cars, in total there were probably less than 10. And for the time we spent on this road, that's a record. So yeah, it was not a very busy morning as far as cars being on the road, or even people being out. We didn't see the dogs, we didn't see squirrels like we usually do. Even the squirrels were too smart to be out this morning. Look at that road, that's beautiful. Look at that, just sweet. This stretch is slightly down to flat. It says -0. You know what it felt like. It didn't. It just felt like a flat road. But it's just nice. You get on this road, you just want to ride. It definitely got me excited because I had been off the bike, you know, with the earache I've been nursing. So first day I felt really good, and it was nice to get on this road, kind of open up the throttle body. And the climb that we visually notice on this road is coming up. Should be able to get a good shot of it. These cars are kind of blocking in the distance. But if you look up there, you can see the road going up. That's the most significant climb on this road. And after you finish that climb, for about another, I would say, 1.5 kilometers, so about a mile, it continues to be a grade. Even after we turn off, it's a grade after we turn off this road. So we had not paid that close of an attention to that, but on this ride, we could not overlook that, and we were both excited. So we're climbing here. It may not register, but it's already going up. That's Lake Creek we just crossed. And And right here, I drop the chain and just chip down the back first, and then drop the chain without breaking my rhythm or changing my cadence. I'm on the small chain ring. You can see it says 2%. It gets there in a hurry. And my goal was to keep my cadence up while seated.
Yeah, I'm good.
And we're talking about the climb. We're excited. I asked Paul if he was okay. He said, yeah. Basically, what I meant was, do you have the gear you need? Because it's got that camera in one hand. My shoes were squeaking. The cleats were dirty. When I got home, I cleaned them. Once you get stuff on there, we had stopped on a trail for a nature break and stepped in some sand and whatever. Who knows what worked its way in there, but it was just squeaking. It was annoying. So even though my heart rate says 170, 171, I didn't feel like I was going that hard, which is fine because during the Rafa Festive 500, I had trouble getting my heart rate up there, and I think I was just tired, or probably just had not recovered enough. So this was a good sign because this little effort kicked it up there. So everything was fired. It felt good. So that's like the middle of zone 4, but I felt like effort-wise, I was just entering zone 4. For me, usually that's the way it feels. Especially keeping my cadence up like I did. So this cadence in the 90s climbing will definitely tax your aerobic system. You can see my heart rate is coming back down. It's settling. It fluctuates. It's settling. So I'm definitely in zone 4. And we're still climbing. We're over the bump, but this is still a grade. It says 1%. I think it's 1 point something from what I saw in the head unit. And that's when I realized, like, man, this is still a climb. And it's a climb until we turn off this main road and even on the turn. That's what Paul chuckling about. Because I mentioned that to him, like, we're still climbing. I was like, cool. See how I'm keeping my cadence reasonable, just on top of the gear. So you can have a day where you climb with high cadence, have another day where you push a little more. I mean, break it up. So you can do the same climbs differently. That keeps the variety and it makes you a well-rounded cyclist because you want to be able to handle larger gears.
Yeah.
It's still a climb, even though it says 1%. It's still a climb. We turn here, then it says 2% on the turn.
Wait.
Yep.
That's a climb.
I enjoyed that climb.
Yes,
Wow.
indeed.
It still says 2.9 right here, buddy.
Yep.
2.4.
The grade is still, yep, 2.4.
3.3, 3.2.
Man.
It's still on the grade, even though we've turned off the highway.
Talking about climbing, man.
This sucker right in our backyard. We've been climbing for a while.
Ah.
So not just that last climb, even there
That's
were some
awesome road,
undulations
man.
during the ride.
Awesome.
What a jet.
Hidden treasure.
Yeah.
Hidden treasure. Oh, man.
That's what keeps the sport interesting.
That's
You can do the same course differently every time. So we head homeward. We're in the woodlands on Flint Ridge. And I told Paul that I'm going to ride the Flint Ridge Hills with high cadence, just like we've been doing the other ones. So we got lots of climbing in. We got like 389 meters or something like that.
You're welcome.
There's a lady riding her cruiser. As we're waiting here for this light, that's when I told Paul that I was going to spin on these hills, keep the cadence up, just so he'd be ready to document. At this point in the ride, it felt nice and comfortable. It says 7C over there. As I switched to 8, it probably felt close to that because we have the wind behind us now. So we're not dealing with the north wind that much. It turned out to be a very pleasant day later by the time the ride was over. It's almost noon. I just planned on keeping a decent cadence. This first climb here is about 4-point-something%. It gets there in a hurry. Key is to make sure you have the right gear that you can handle and you're not bogged down. And at this cadence in the 90s, if somebody accelerates and I choose to go with them, I usually don't shift up. I spin and then shift after I get up to speed. That's the key. So when you're in a group where there's a lot of changes in speed, that's a good day to climb with high cadence. If you're by yourself, you can work on your strength. And then there are times in the group you may just feel good and you can put it in a big gear and still power it if somebody accelerates. You should be able to do all of that, but just generally, you want to keep your cadence high if you're responding to changes in speed, because you can just do it more often because you're taxing your oxygen system, not your muscular system. It's just more efficient. I was going between small, big chainring. I think I kept on big chainring here because on the descents I would shift up. I don't like to coast downhill too much. I like to keep my legs moving. Even if I'm not going hard, I like to just ride downhill. A very good shot that Paul got here. You guys can see how I look anchored on my bike. If you're not fitted to your bike, I know I've said it a million times, you're gonna have trouble doing a whole lot of stuff. I mean, if you're not comfortable on your bike, riding 3 to 4 hours would be just not a whole lot of fun. You'd just be uncomfortable. You end up with saddle sores and other discomforts. It starts there. Right there, I put on the big chainring. Just finding a gear that I can feel while going downhill. But as the hill begins to bite in, all I do is I downshift and keep my cadence reasonable. The nice thing about having the shifters on the brake levers nowadays is that a lot of times people can't even tell you shifting. If you got it adjusted right, they can't tell. They'd have to be really close and paying attention to your gears, but you can shift so much more convenient. I think it was Laurent Fignon, the late Laurent Fignon, that said it's more convenient having it there when this was the rave when they were introduced. It was a perfect way of putting it. It made it more convenient. It did not make you faster. I like having it there. I think it's a smart place to put it. That's a change on the bicycle that makes sense. Some of the stuff they're trying to push nowadays, they're actually trying to move us backwards. So anyhow, this is what we did on Saturday. It was very cold. Started out below freezing, below zero. By the time the ride was over, it says 7C. It probably felt like 5C. You can see it's fluctuating, 6.4. It was just a cold day, even with the sun. But with the right gear, you can ride these things. If you didn't get a chance to get out, I hope that you got a chance to get on your trainer, or you will get on your trainer. But you got to get your base miles in. Even if you're in the frozen areas like New York and Wisconsin and other places, get on the trainer, do some winter sports, do the gym, whatever. Keep yourself fit for the new season that's coming.